Get ready for the Squawking Eagles Podcast, the show that covers only the Philadelphia Eagles. Think different. Think Squawking Eagles Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Squawking Eagles Podcast. I am Mike. I'm joined again by Miguel and Mark. How's it going, guys?
All right, now, let's go Birds.
Go Birds.
How about them Red Cowboys?
Red Cowboys. Yes, on today's episode, we're going to talk about that Red Cowboys game against the Chiefs. We're going to talk about Kylie Kelsey and her husband. And how he is quite the entertainer, I would say. He's quite the entertainer of the Instagram. Then we have a little bit of chat about a certain offensive lineman on the 49ers and Jalen Carter. And then we'll preview our next podcast.
So if you want, got it.
Yes. So what we're going to do is you can follow us on Instagram, Squawking Eagles Podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are just about to hit 600 subscribers. So to be the next 600th person, that'd be great. Also, you can go to TeePublic, where we have a shop there. You can buy magnets and mugs and T-shirts and sweatshirts, all kinds of stuff. So go check that out. All right, so here we go. What's that?
Don't forget about Freeverse.
Oh, so we got also a Locker Verse. We also have Friday Night Freaks, and if you know, you know, quotes.
There you go.
Here we go. All right, so we are now officially, guys, in the off season. The Super Bowl has happened. I watched it pretty much. I watched it. I say, Miguel, you watched?
Of course, I was glued in. I was I was all up in that game.
All up in it. What about you, Mark? Did you watch? No, he didn't. He didn't.
What? I did watch. I watched the days go by. And I'm looking forward to the combine and the draft and off-season transactions because it's officially the off-season 2024 Eagles. Here we go. Guys, Look. 2023 season's over. In the trash, right? New year, new us, except we're the Birds. Let's go. We got this.
I'm already the coloring book in the garbage there.
Mentality going straight. Coloring book is in the trash. We got rid of it.
You know, we're only 158 days till training camp.
Hey, you know what? Kellen Moore and Hurts are about to create the greatest duo in offensive coordinator and quarterback history for the Eagles for like a nice little year. I'm just like, we're gonna start. You know what? The season wasn't over. We're talking about Kellen Moore, a little bit of like questionable vibes. Like, no, season's over. New season, new vibes, winning and happiness. Let's go, Birds. I don't give a rat's ass about the Red Cowboys and the I can't do anything unless I cheat Chiefs. That's over. That's last year's drama. That did go away. New season. Let's go, Birds. People are already tired of the Taylor Swift thing. See, it's already over. It's all gone.
Well, good way. I was expecting some sort of like controversy over this game, but I don't think that before we actually get into this, I want to send out prayers to everybody who was involved with the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. True. I know somebody lost their life and a couple of people hurt kids. Thinking about them, that's uncalled for. There's no way that should have happened. And, people are just celebrating, and somebody thinks that they need to do something like that and to take someone's life is just,
if that would have happened in Philadelphia,
it would have been on the news instantly, all over the place.
It was already all over the news. It was a mass shooting. It was at a Super Bowl parade. I get it. You know what I mean? But if it was in Philly, I believe the narrative around it would have been 100 times worse than what it is coming out.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And that's unfair. We get this bad rap of being a bad sports town. Yeah, we get rowdy when we win our championships because we haven't won one in a long time. Yes, we climb our light poles. Yes, we're gonna flip a random car and maybe set it on fire. Right. But nobody's getting killed.
Right, and somebody did. I think a reporter who had two kids of her own, and
she was a radio DJ.
Radio DJ, that's right. It's a shame. It's a real shame that it has to be soured like that. But hopefully they'll get everybody who's involved with that, and justice will be served. All right, so the Super Bowl, we had a game that went into overtime. I thought the fourth quarter and overtime were the most entertaining part of the game. And what I was in the middle of saying is that I thought there would be some sort of controversy with the Chiefs. Chiefs won because of this, or Chiefs won because of that. But it really I thought it was a clean game by the Chiefs. They won fair and square. The 49ers had a couple of mishaps, a muffed punt. And that's the way it goes. And of course, we'll talk about what Fletcher Cox said after the game, but I thought it was a well played game. It was an equally matched game until the fourth quarter and overtime. What about you, Miguel?
Yeah, you said it. Like this, I felt like this was a movie. Like the Super Bowl was a movie. It was it started off a little slow, going back and forth, turnovers, and then it just built to a climax, right? And it was for the first quarter, I felt like I was watching the Eagles play, seeing the turnovers and the bad marching down the field and not moving down the field, and it was just a light switch for Kansas City. Whatever adjustments they made it on the fly right before halftime. They were able to get on the board. They come back at halftime and were able to just keep their foot on the pedal and really put San Francisco away. What really surprised me, one, I feel really bad, and my brother pointed it out in the beginning of the game, but Greenlaw, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
He was exerting so much energy from the beginning of the game. Like my brother even called it. He's like, why is he celebrating? He's just made like 2 tackles. Why are you celebrating so hard? And then they get on in the next possession and going onto the field, blowing out your Achilles.
Yeah.
That was just painful to watch.
So I will tag on that and say I half lied. I didn't watch the game. However, as I had mentioned last podcast, it was on in the house. I actually walked into the room at the end of that possession, watched them like kind of cheering, get ready to go out, and watched him take a step. And as he crumbled, I was like, that man just blew his ACL. I literally said it out loud. My mom came running out of the other room. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, the play's not, there's not even a play. I was like, I know. He was walking onto the field and it just went. She's like, how do you know? I was like, he's on the ground in pain after a step. Nothing else does that to an NFL player. It just doesn't happen.
As soon as he took the step and I seen his leg, like the vibration of that Achilles pop, I was like, I knew it from the second I saw it. I was like, holy shit. And he's just laying on the ground screaming. But
that's tragic.
Yeah, that was very tragic. But yeah, Mike, the Super Bowl was a very strategic Super Bowl by both teams. I mean, wow, these guys, they're full of all-stars on that team. And to be able to see Kansas City struggle in the first, quarter and a half to try to get that offense going, and in the way that then the adjustments that they made to get it going really speaks highly to Andy Reid and his coaching ability.
So would you say that the team on paper, that it was more star-studded and had every reason to win, crumbled when it mattered most historically, like they always do?
Yeah, well, I mean, being that, Deebo Samuels came out and was like, if we would have had Brock Purdy, we would have won the whole thing. Well, you had a whole team, brother, and you guys didn't pull it out. So
look, I'm sorry. Look, as much as I cannot stand Pat Mahomes, he had no right to win that game because he had no one to play with. That guy, don't get me wrong, Rice, you're hitting. Look, hats off to you for developing into the player they need you to be. But let's be honest, like you're not. It's not like he suddenly got himself an AJ Brown, a DK Metcalf, a CD Lamb, other Cowboys team, type player. Rice is developing, and of course he's got Kelsey, and as much as Kelsey can be a bit of a douchebaggery, he's still Kelsey. We love him. But like they're working with chips, while you got the other side of the ball where everyone's like, oh, how great Brock Purdy is, and he's got the entire spread. He's got anything you could ever want, and he can't get it done.
At all.
He's a joke.
Yeah.
The team's a joke. Guys, it's the Cowboys 2.0. The NFC is just, we got the NFC West with the Cowboys, and the NFC, or the NFC East has a Cowboys team. I'm just, it might be a little different. It might different colors. It might have a different name, but they're just the Cowboys. When's the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl? 94?
Yeah.
When's the last time the Niners won a Super Bowl? 95?
95, yes.
So they've both gone almost 30 years without a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And for at least a decade, both teams have repeatedly been so great and not made it.
It's always their year. It's
always their year. Hey, Debo. Hey, Niners fans. Hey, Winers fans. You didn't do it. You had your chance against a weaker Chiefs team than we played.
There was a fun quote. A stat is that Corey Clement had more
I love that
receiving yards than Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle combined.
Yeah.
So Corey Clement had more receiving yards in the Super Bowl 52 than those three guys had this past game.
Man,
that is wild. That's wild.
And who did we beat in that Super Bowl?
Tom Brady.
Kind of known as the what?
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
Yes.
Right. Pat Mahomes is trying to get there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's more than trying, my guy. I think he's
he's pretty, to be in the playoffs 6 straight years in a row. He's got 3 Super Bowls now.
Yeah, he's up there. He's definitely on the boat. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, like last podcast, you can't bet against Benson no more. Like, you got to treat him like we treated Tom Brady. Like, you give him 2 minutes on the clock, you're losing that game. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what they did, and they proved in this game.
I will agree to that. Bad decision making by the Niners to play it the way they did. Like, the fact that they didn't
know the rules. They didn't know the rules of overtime, and they are actually on tape saying, "Oh wow, I didn't know the rules."
But which is crazy because I'm sorry, you're in the NFL, and at the start of every NFL overtime, which doesn't happen often, they go over the rules with you.
Yeah.
At the start of overtime. And they talked about, I don't know if it was Super Bowl or it was one of the playoff games earlier, and they're saying how it has become a historic norm for the team who wins the toss to kick the ball.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely better to get it in the second half. That trend with the new rules of overtime has followed suit.
Yeah.
With the new overtime rules, you kick the ball.
Yeah.
Because if you stop them, you can win like that. And if you don't, at least you know what you need.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the beginning of overtime, but the referee was very good at saying, he said, "All right, gentlemen, this is a brand new game." He didn't call it overtime. He called it, "This is a brand new game. Start all over. You get 3 timeouts. There's a time limit. There's a time." And he explained it very clearly. Like, this is a brand new game. So in my mind, he would have been, all right, if this is a brand new game, and if I win the toss, I'll just defer. The guy automatically took it, and he thought that was it. But then he had no idea. He had no idea what the rules were.
You should know. You should.
Kansas City, Travis Kelce came out on the podcast, and he said they went over a bunch of times. They had definitely planned for an overtime game, and they had what they were going to do.
Well, honestly, I saw at the pregame press conference, Reed wasn't drunk, but Shanahan looked like he was.
You think so?
I'm just saying. I don't think he actually was. But he looked like it. If he was, I mean, hey, again, you're an adult, and it's the festivities leading up to the Super Bowl. Who cares? Yeah. I'm just saying, it looks bad when you lose, and you say, we didn't know the rules, and your pregame stuff looked like you weren't really ready.
Yeah, it was a good. I gave Patrick Mahomes a little bit more. Would you say? I guess respect a little bit more from me because of how that game went in the end and how he stayed strong and he didn't panic and he kind of carried the team down the field, and it's pretty cool to watch. It was a really, I don't like him, but it was really good to watch.
And another thing, it kind of showed what Jalen needs to grow into, because he was able to struggle in that first quarter, go back, talk to the coaching staff, figure out what they can do. They saw that the linebackers were dropping back. Just take what they give you. Make those linebackers sink back in. That way, later in the game, you have Travis Kelce open in the flat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
and if you saw Andy and him were sitting on the bench talking it over. They were communicating back and forth what they needed to do. That is something that we were talking last week about how Andy didn't do that with Donovan, but he's doing it with Patrick, and it kind of is beneficial for him. It's working that they're on the same page. Right. So it also turned out to be one of the most viewed, I think, television events since the moon landing. I think that's what the stat was.
123 million.
Yeah.
You know what? It's entirely because of Taylor Swift fans. I guarantee you, if Taylor Swift is not in that picture, that play after 4-year repeat, that Super Bowl has half the viewership.
I agree with you. As a matter of fact, they even have a stat that says that 4 million people tuned in just to watch the Usher performance and then turned it off immediately after it was over.
I was talking to teenagers who watched the Super Bowl, and they said, who did the halftime show? I was like, oh man.
Look, it's funny because I was like the opposite side of it, where I was like, oh, it's Usher. I don't want to watch this.
Oh.
It's kind of scary too. If you think about the artists that have come out in the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years, right?
Yeah.
In the next 10 to 15 years, those artists that have come out are probably going to be hosting the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm like, who are we really going to be listening to in this point? Like,
yeah, the Weeknd. We're going to be listening to the Weeknd.
If we ever. The Weeknd, I think already did, yeah. But the Weeknd's actually like kind of like he's got some like music. If we ever have a Super Bowl hosted by Ice Spice or whoever their name is, I see on the Dunkin' Donut commercials.
That's gonna be up there, my guy. She already got the blessing by being with Taylor in the fucking suite.
Is that who that was up there?
Yes.
Yeah. How about the fact Alicia Keys was dressed as a challenge flag? Did anybody notice that? Did you notice?
I did hear that.
She was
I saw that body. That's all I saw. I was like, God damn, that girl does not. She's like fine wine. Jesus Christ.
I will say the only thing came out of this game with me. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I've seen a lot of highlights of it. I did see a little bit. The only thing that I can kind of side with the Niners on, that's going to say I don't care what Mike just said about Pat Mahomes. They do get away with an ungodly amount of excessive holding to protect that Kermit the Frog back there.
There is a stat. You read that stat. That
3 straight Super Bowl,
3 state Super Bowls,
and no holding penalties. Which don't get me wrong, there's very little holding ever called in the Super Bowl. They're pretty good about it. However,
I think
there's really, really egregious that aren't being called.
I wonder how much of that stat that you just read off has to do with what Travis Kelce said. I don't know, sometime in the past on this pod about wearing the same gloves as a jersey that you're blocking against.
Yeah.
And this year was what they were wearing white, so they probably were wearing white gloves, and you can't really tell a whole.
Yep.
So
all I know is that
I think it's possible.
Granted, I don't think they did as well as I would have expected them to, but all I know is that the Niners D-line is kind of like well known for pass rush, kind of like ours was last year.
Mm-hmm.
They have done nothing but overload. And I said, I think I talked about a few podcasts ago when I was hoping we would play them. I said, all you got to do is run the ball on them. They are just so full of pass rushers.
Right.
And they couldn't get home because of, like,
but to be honest, I don't think the San Francisco 49ers are going to be making it back to the Super Bowl anytime soon. I think they're going to lose a lot of guys. Brandon Ayuk is already saying this is why we're out of here. Like, there's already tons of excuses have been pouring out of their side. Somebody was hungover, and that's why they missed the block.
Bro, you come from like the dirtiest city in your state. Like you're just your whole attitude towards everything in the league. Everyone's out against you because you guys are deserved. You're not. Get the back of the line. Find out in a year, which I will say I'm super excited about. Purdy, Mr. overrated quarterback that I believe he is going to be due for that money.
Yep.
Oh my, do I hope they sign him and lose a receiver and they go, oh, wait.
Uh-oh.
Look, it's Cooper Rush all over again.
Right.
Well, there has been already rumor of Debo being traded.
Oh, is there
that
really?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I've already heard inklings.
Yeah, they're going to have to. They're going to have to because
there's too much money on that team.
There's too much money.
What's their cap space? Like 500,000. Like that's all they have.
They needed to win this game. They needed to win that game.
Yeah, this was it for them. This was their year.
Legitimacy, and they didn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they lost more than just Debo.
Yeah. Well, look at Brandon Ayuk. He already said he's out there. Right? Well, he didn't say it. His friend said it, but
which is shocking because I would have expected them to try to keep Ayuk and let Debo kind of take his injury prone ass going somewhere.
Yeah, but hey, we'll see. All right, so let's move on. The people who were let's talk about the spectators of the Super Bowl, and one Kylie Kelsey, who was in the booth,
Duchess of Delco.
The Duchess of Delco. Now, Jason Kelsey wore a full overalls of Kansas City Chiefs overalls.
Mm-hmm.
And a Kansas City Chiefs like a knitted hat. Kylie Kelsey wore red.
Cincinnati Bearcats.
I think it was all her alma mater. I think she went there. No, Jason went there.
She went to Cabrini. Jason and Travis both went to Cincinnati.
But that's nice that she's representing them. I think that's the legit. She won't wear another NFL team. Apparently, she won't wear another NFL team's.
Would
colors.
you?
No.
Okay. I agreed.
Yeah.
I even heard Jason, a little clip of Jason saying like, "Oh, you know, it's for a family. The Eagles aren't playing. No."
Yeah, I don't really think Jason should be so decked out in Kansas City Chiefs outfit though.
Yeah.
Like you guys have seen, I've got a collection of other jerseys, but I collect all my Oregon Ducks jerseys. I've worn my Herbert one when the Eagles aren't playing, just out of respect to the player. I've worn my Mariota one when he was in Tennessee when the Eagles weren't playing, out of respect to the player, but only in those rare moments. And it's not so much rooting for that team. It was just like, hey, I got the jersey as a gift. Let me wear it. Now they're in a closet. They're going to get mounted. But the only jerseys I wear on a regular basis are Eagles. That's all I'm going to wear is Eagles. Like I'm not going to wear other teams.
No.
It's all about the birds.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Like,
I agree. You agree, Miguel?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a diehard Eagles fan, so I refuse to let any other team garb that's belonging to a professional sports team. Doesn't matter what sport it is. If it's not Philadelphia, it's not going on my skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you two heard of the Philly tuxedo? Are you familiar with the Philly tuxedo?
It's like a Philly, any Philly hat with a
two Philly teams.
Right.
Has to be two different ones and sweatpants. Yeah. It's a Philly tuxedo. That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. Yeah, that was pretty accurate. And I heard that on the radio the other day. I'm like, wow, that's pretty much what my outfit is all the time. So I'm pretty much I'm fancy all the time with tuxedos.
There you go.
Good.
You're styling and profiling like Ric Flair.
Style. Woo! Jet lining. It's I have so much respect for her wanting to respect the Eagles and only wear her Eagles gear. That's pretty sweet.
But although I do find it funny that Jason.
So I got the sweats.
There you go.
I got the jersey.
There you go.
There you go.
Mark is officially wearing his Philly tuxedo.
Look at that. I'll put it on profiling. Stomp your feet and give me 2 claps to give me Ric Flair. Anyway, but yeah, he had said on the podcast that the reason that he wore a overalls was because that way he could make sure that his shirt would stay down and he wouldn't take off his shirt. That's why he decided to wear it over.
Strategic.
Right, very strategic.
So preemptive drunk thoughts.
Well, not only did he think of that, but then after in the after party, somebody, I don't know how he gets a luchador mask.
He said he found it on the floor.
He found it on the floor. Like
he found it on the floor, and in a drunken thing, he was just like, "Fuck it," threw it on, and there we have El Calzador. Since we have Calzador, yeah.
Well, I'm working on a T-shirt, which it's him in that mask, and you'll be able to find it on tpublic.com with him wearing that mask. And would you call it El Kelsador?
El Kelsador.
Like that.
We were going to call it that.
What if we recolor it to Eagles colors though?
We can do both. I can do both.
Yeah,
because it just fits a little better.
El Kelsador. I like
you look
that.
better in green.
Yeah, so we're going to make that. I'll make two. I'll make a Kansas City Chiefs one, and I'll make an Eagles one, and I'll put El Kelsador on the bottom. And if you want that shirt, go check it out.
Hell yeah!
I'll be buying.
Yeah. I'm starting to. I started this week working on it. So give me a couple days to work on stuff.
All right.
Other side notes. As soon as that game was over, Fletcher Cox posted to his Instagram story. And I'll read. It said on the above it says all these clown emojis, and it's at 19 Problems, who is Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the Eagles out, show mouth boy, laughy emojis. I still got some. You ain't got side smiles. Yeah, I've been holding this one in, son. He's been waiting to post, because Deebo talks a lot of trash. He said that
it's not good trash either.
It's not. His comment was, rivalries are close games. That's what his excuse was. He was asked if the Eagles and 49ers are rivals, and he says no, because rivals have close games. Well, he's not wrong. We kind of blew them out in the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of blew us out in a regular season.
Yeah.
Regular season game kind of means a little bit less than an NFC Championship game, but
just a little bit. Yeah, who counts?
That's splitting hair.
Yeah.
Splitting hairs.
I forget that.
But how do you feel about Fletcher Cox doing that as soon as the game was over?
One more year, my guy. One more year.
Just
for that, I need you here. One more year.
Miguel.
I mean, I loved it because it's a great response to the shit that he's been talking about. Like I said earlier, he said that if they had Brock Purdy, they would win the whole thing. Well, you had a whole healthy team, my guy, and fell short.
You played the same team the Eagles did too, right? You played the same team the Eagles did. So.
Exactly. So got to eat the words. You got to live with
I'd say it's a lesser team, to be honest. I don't think the Chiefs are as good this year. I mean, you look at their season; they did not look as good.
I mean, no team looked good this year. But
I'm just saying, so you're playing a lesser Chiefs team and still lost.
Yeah.
I don't think we lose against this year's Chiefs. Like we have last year's Eagles versus this year's Chiefs.
Eagles beat them this year. The Eagles beat them.
I know.
Beat them in the regular season.
That's what I'm saying. But if you had last year's Eagles performance against this year's Chiefs, this Super Bowl is a blowout.
Yeah.
True.
Another thing.
Now I sound like a Niners fan. I hate myself for
that. So now we can talk a little bit about this offensive lineman on the 49ers. His name is John Feliciano. There's been, I guess you can say, when the week that the 49ers played the Eagles, and Jalen Carter was, do you remember Jalen Carter was was very upset on the sidelines, crying almost. Nobody knew why. They thought he was crying because of the loss. And I guess they really wanted to win. I'm sure they really wanted to win, but apparently, this guy John Feliciano, during the game, was trash talking Jalen Carter about his car accident that resulted in the death of one of Carter's teammates.
So he's a trash can.
What's that?
He's a trash can of a human being. Got it.
Apparently this guy is a trash can human being. And then of course he kind of doubles down on what Jalen Carter accused him of by saying that Jalen Carter told him during the game that he was going to end his life, and his kids would never see him again. He kept doing it over and over again. And then after the game, Jalen Carter apparently posted to his family and John Feliciano's friends that he was going to do that. It just doesn't seem seem like it doesn't add up, because why would Jalen Carter be crying on the sidelines and this guy, John Feliciano, wasn't doing anything on his sideline. So it kind of like it doesn't match up, doesn't add up. I think he was just kind of doubled down on.
And where was this post? Where is this post supposed to lead?
This was from Sports Illustrated. This was on Sports Illustrated, and the post was from directly from John Feliciano. He
but where did Jalen Carter post?
Yeah.
Like where did he make these? Where did he make these comments?
It was on his Instagram.
He posted on his Instagram that he was going to kill someone else's family.
No. That John Feliciano.
No, I know. But John Feliciano said Jalen Carter posted or messaged him and his family he was going to kill them.
Yeah, he posted it on I guess you can say it's Twitter.
But I'm saying, where are those messages?
Oh, the messages that Jalen Carter had sent to the family members. Yeah, allegedly. Now, again, they're nowhere to be seen at this moment.
So, Jalen Carter, 22-year-old rookie player for us, has the phone number to 32-year-old journeyman, I can't quite find a home, lineman who kind of plays some games for different positions on different teams for 10 years, and all of his family members' numbers, and messages them?
Yeah.
Weird how I don't believe that. Even if it wasn't the Eagles, even if you said this was a Cowboys D lineman, I wouldn't believe that. Like, show me the proof. Fine. Cool. Great. Well, great. Until I see it, none of your story adds up, and you're still a bitch, and you still lost the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
It's a shame that, well, I'm not sure like why Jalen Carter felt like he needed to say anything about that at this point, but he did.
Like, look, I'm cool. I played sports. I think we all played sports. Trash talking's part of it.
Yeah. Well,
and
to an extent.
And I'm all for trying to get in the psyche of your opponents. But I do believe there's certain lines in the sand. Like we all celebrate BG's trash talk. BG doesn't talk about people's family. BG doesn't talk about he just calls you trash and then beats you up for it.
He talks how you play.
You're about this is coming, and the thing is, this isn't coming from a guy who's like, oh, I'm like a 7-year all-pro vet or something. This is a guy who bounced around the league. He played Oakland, Buffalo, the Giants, I think recently, then San Fran. Like, he's bouncing around. He's played a bunch of different positions. I think he was guard. I think he's center now. I don't even think he's listed anymore. I think he's just lineman. So he doesn't have a solid home. He doesn't have a solid positioning. So it's like, bro, who are you to talk shit in the first place? And especially like that. Like, all right, you want to get in the game and talk about hey, you don't ever let him through, and you want to talk to him about how he can't beat you because he's oh, you're a little boy because you're 30, he's 20, and you want to talk down. Cool, great, do it. That's fine. Talking about the death of a teammate, as much as we all knew there was a lot going on with that prior to the draft, there was a whole lot of talk about it. Everyone looked at it from the outsider's perspective, including myself. I remember being on this podcast saying, I don't want Jalen Carter because I didn't want that mentality in our locker room. Mm-hmm. But no one looked at it from I'm sure as hell he didn't expect anyone to die. They were young, having fun, doing stupid stuff. That was a friend of his. And you're going to go out and call out like that? That's disgusting. I've talked a lot of shit in my life. You're disgusting.
I feel like this is a nothing story. Look, if he's talking that shit on the field, there's enough referees on that field to hear what's going on. If the referees heard something like that, I can imagine it would have been a flag or addressed in some way or fashion of an ejection or something like that. Mm-hmm. There's no way that he legally got away with just threatening somebody on the field like that.
No.
And if there is visual proof that this guy sent these messages, where is it? Why aren't we seeing this? I
could imagine
what comes down the road, but it just makes zero sense at this point to me.
I could imagine in the heat of the game, someone's talking trash, especially like that, and you could try and be like, "Yo, I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah,
because I've said it in games, not meaning I'm going to actually murder you, more like I'm going to beat you, and make you feel like shit. That I can understand, but the way he's portraying it, I'm like,
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Why he, that. I just think it's a one-way thing. I don't think Jalen Carter said anything like that, and I really don't believe that he reached out to Does he really have the time to track down family members and friends to say it doesn't just? He's 22-year-old. Who does he care? What does he care? He's not going to be doing that. So, the Eagles are now in the off season. There's a lot of free agents coming up. We're going to do a whole podcast about free agents and who should we sign. But the Eagles have already signed one guy already.
Practice squad linebacker, the end.
Yeah, his name is I'm not sure. His name is Julian Okwara. He played for the Lions. He's an edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
He has 10 career sacks. 5 years as a starter, and he had 5 in 2021. And
so wait, he's got like 3-4 years. He's got 10 sacks. Hassan Reddick had 11 in 1 year.
Yeah, that's another thing. Hassan Reddick. There was a story that came out that the Eagles have granted him permission to seek a trade. So that was out there for a couple of days. And I know, Mark, you saw it. Miguel, you saw it.
I made comments.
You've made comments.
I made comments prior to the follow-up comments.
Prior to the follow-up comments. And now Hassan Reddick is on. He came out Tuesday and said that he never asked to get permission to be traded or to look for a trade, and he wants to stay in Philly and he wants to be extended. So my question is, do you think Howie is playing mind games here by letting things out like that, or Miguel shaking your head no? Why? Tell me. What you got?
So this is how I visualize this conversation going.
Yeah.
Like Hassan Reddick's going to Howie's office. Hey, listen, contract's up. I mean, I think I've had a couple good years. And I like a decent sized contract, guaranteed money. And Howie looks at him and he goes, listen, you've been excellent for us, but we've got 7 holes on defense that we got to fill up. And you're gonna demand top 3 money. And I can't give you top 3 money right now. But I tell you what, I can make you an offer, but to make a fair offer, go out there, seek a trade, see what value comes back, and then let's renegotiate after that. Because Howie Roseman and the Eagles are not putting out there that, oh, we're going to trade him. They didn't put that out. That was Hassan Reddick agent putting that out to try to,
light a fire,
garner interest in Hassan Reddick, right? So now, let's just say, I'm figuring that a contract for him would be about 20 million per year, maybe a little bit less, but some of that is going to be guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
He's a 30-year-old veteran.
He's going to be 30. He's pretty close to 30.
Right. Who potentially could fall off. He's had 3 really good seasons here in Philadelphia. But listen, if Howie can try to swindle a team to give him a 2nd-round pick, and you can fill a gap in, or even do a player-for-player deal and maybe trade him to Arizona and get Budda Baker, and that fills a safety role, or they trade him to Denver and you get Patrick Surtain and you fill a cornerback position that we need, and maybe slide Bradbury to the slot. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of 7-level Chinese checkers being played here. You know what I mean? So I think there's more to it than just them saying, no, just go seek a trade. We're not going to sign you. I think Howie is just putting that out there so they can get a fair offer for Hassan Reddick and not embarrass him with a low offer.
Yeah, look, respect to Miguel. I don't think any of that happened. You see, because Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, and CJ GJ taught me that Howie Roseman doesn't give a shit about players at all, unless they're a quarterback. At all. That is why.
Paid him.
Did he?
Yep.
Did he this year?
Yeah, $10 million.
When did he sign him?
Last year.
Last year. Last year. All right. $10 million. Now, how much do you think Aaron Donald makes a year?
I don't know.
You tell me.
I'm saying I think it's more than $10 million.
Okay.
And Fletcher Cox's career, while not quite as stellar, has been one stat for stat, pretty damn close to Aaron Donald. And let me just pull that up for you real quick. Salary, right? Okay, so $135 million contract with $31 million a year. I think Cox took 10 because he wanted to stay here. Now, I don't think that Hassan went to Howie already talking about contracts because I don't think most players are doing that just yet. I think a lot of them understand that, hey, the season ends. There's usually like a week or two break where things kind of get worked on. The agents have conversations, and then this happens. Now, I will agree. Yeah, I understand that it was his agent who posted out there, but I think pretty much what probably happened in my mind is that his agent saw what happened last year with Kaiser White, TJ Edwards, and CJ GJ, and went, hey, how we just want to get a feel for where your thought is for the upcoming or the market this season. I think he turned around and said, you can go look because it's not the value's not there because he doesn't believe anyone's value is there. That's why he didn't bother for those other three players that I think made a huge difference missing from our team this year. I don't think he cares. I think signing this player off practice squad was another sign of saying, I don't care. Look, I have an edge rusher. He might not be as good, but it doesn't matter. Save me a ton of money. I don't like the way Howie's been handling the team when it comes to this management process. I don't think that, and I also agree, I also believe that Hassan Reddick, that Kaiser White, that DeAndre Swift would all take lower money from the Eagles than any other team in the league because they're local and they want to play here. I guarantee it, actually. I would bet you money that you said, oh, yeah, Hassan Reddick, top 3. Yeah, you know what? You shop on the open market. He's looking for some top 3 money from the Eagles. I think he'd take a cut. He wants to stay in Philly. He's a phenomenal player for us. But we're not going to go after him. Like, it's not that he will, go shop the market and we'll do compare numbers. No, that's Howie's way of saying, I don't need that. That's how that is. And I think putting it out there is kind of more trying to get the public persona for us to kind of have this backlash. Be like, yo, look, Howie, you've already cost us last year with your terrible decision-making with not signing key players. Don't do that again. You're already killing the team.
So Howie put out this trade thing or Hassan Reddick put out the trade
saying,
I believe his agent is the one who made it public. However, you can't just say that until it's told. So Howie, being the fact that he's the one that does all this, had to have already told his agent, go shop. You're allowed to, which is insane.
Yeah,
restructure a contract for a guy who's top 3, top 5 in the league in sacks for back-to-back years.
He's had double-digit sacks, I think, for the past 5 years.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And how much money do you think that's going to demand? That's going to be a pretty penny for one player.
You're not wrong. However, you know that BJ is on his farewell tour, so he's not taking a lot. If we keep Fletcher Cox, he's not taking a lot. We structured a deal with Jalen Hurts to have the money we have. We have top-tier young talent around chunks of the defense. The part we're missing is an edge rusher and linebackers. You could argue, I'd agree that we could probably pick up a safety. Hey, look, it's a new season. I'm willing to sweat. I'd bring back CJ. Just saying. I loved his energy here. I don't care. I'd bring him back. Get rid of Bradbury. Get rid of Slay. Like, they can get traded. They're older. They're less productive. Imagine, flip this script and say this was Slay after Slay just had like a 12-pick season. The whole NFL world would be laughing.
Yeah, I agree. You're agree. It is, but it's because of position.
It's because he doesn't care. What did he say a few years ago? And I threw a hissy fit about it. He wants the Eagles to be a
quarterback
factory because we're a college team, guys. We're going to draft kids who don't belong in the NFL. We're going to make them NFL stars and trade them away and do it again. No, stop it. You got your quarterback. You got your O-line.
I don't believe that that's the cause or that's the thinking, Mark. I believe that Howie actually puts the cap into the picture because we only got, look, I just looked it up. Eagles roughly have about $29 million in cap space next year.
Mm-hmm.
You sign Hassan Reddick to a $20 million a year deal, that leaves you with $8 million to fill in 7 spots.
Except that, as we learned last year with the Hurts contract, it's not going to be direct like that. There's going to be number fluctuation. They'll have it set up in bonuses. They'll backhand the stack. It'll cost us $7 million.
There's only so much you can do with that, though, Mark. You
can't also like Kevin Byard, he can be bought out or save,
traded.
I think, or trade. But you can also save. I don't remember the numbers, but it was like double-digit numbers if you get rid of Byard.
Yeah, it's like 17 million.
Yeah, and the same thing with Bradbury. Same thing with Bradbury.
But here's the part that gets me. If we keep him as is, it's like a $22 million hit. We restructured the contract down to be like a $10 million hit. He gets the money, and we get to keep him.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a yes or no question. I just want you to say yes or no. No explanation, because I think this is what it's going to come down to. Hassan Reddick comes to you. I want another 3-year contract, but you can back end the whole load. But I get to get out of it after the first year if I don't like the way the team goes. Do you make that contract? Yes or no, Mark?
Can I ask a question?
Sure. What?
By him getting out of the contract, do we still owe him the full amount, or is it just like we split ways evenly?
Split ways evenly.
Yes.
Miguel?
What's the price you signing him for 3 years?
Top tier price. He'd be the third largest linebacker contract in football.
Because I don't know what Vic Fangio's defense is going to look like. I don't know what role he's going to play.
I know. See, it's tough. That's where we're at. We're at a tough spot. You can't even answer a yes or no question because you don't know where Fangio is. You don't know. Fangio likes safeties, I believe. And
put in perspective that it would be around $18 million.
Yeah, I figured $20 million. So yeah, it's
technically speaking, if we don't change his contract, he's the highest paid linebacker in the NFL. Because right now it was Roquan Smith, who's making $20 million a year, and his contract puts him at 21.9 or 21.5 if we keep him. So just throwing it out there.
I would tend to believe, and I would believe is that Howie might have learned from his mistakes by not signing TJ Edwards, not signing Kaiser White, and putting your eggs in a basket with someone who has kind of showed he gets injured in Kobe Dean. And it kind of backfired.
Just want to put it out there. TJ Edwards makes $6 million a year.
I know. But it did backfire, and I think, all right. I'm a sensible person. I learn from my mistakes. Howie's a business person. Jeffrey Lurie is a business person. They should know and learn from their mistakes that it didn't work out. They have to, like, this whole defense. We're going to talk about it in future podcasts, but in my mind, it's going to be a complete rebuilt defense from the bottom.
White makes 5
from the bottom top.
I think they switch. I think we go into a 3-4 defense instead of a 4-3, which is what we've been running for
a long time,
decades now. At this point, I think Vic is going to come in here and give this team a new look, because look, I mean, Mike, and I know you love the guy, Jordan Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he been?
Yeah, no.
Where's he been? He's been kind of MIA. Jordan Carter disappeared towards the end of the season. Who knows if the story earlier had anything to do with that downfall? Maybe he just got mentally in his head after that 49er game and just didn't show up. Maybe that's the reason. But right now, this defense does not look as young and spry as we thought at the beginning of last year. We went into last year praising, look at this defensive line, look at this rotation that's going to be coming in, and it never amounted to anything. They didn't have a rotation. We had dealt with a lot of injuries and bad coaching. So it's like there's questions. It's like, is Cunningham an answer? Is forget the other linebackers.
Morrow.
Is he going to be playing a role?
He's also a free agent too.
Do we get? Yeah,
we don't do linebackers, so they're gone. You can see. Imagine they're not on the team anymore. Same with running backs. Who's our running back next year?
A lot of teams treat linebackers like they've been treating running backs, like they're a dime a dozen. They come and go.
And yet, everyone
I feel
knows
sorry for Greenlaw because breaking his damage his Achilles like that, he's done. Like, he's no longer going to be that player that he was going into that game. So,
but it's crazy is that I agree with you that teams treat linebackers and running backs like they're like these, side pieces you don't really need, and yet everyone knows the names of the biggest running backs and linebackers who are absolute game changers. When Bobby Wagner was at his prime, you had to plan against him, not the defense. I mean, you had to play the defense, but him in general because of what he did to teams. You play San Fran now, as much as I don't like him. If you don't game plan for CMC, you're in trouble. That man will eat everyone on your defense. They're these star players at these positions that no one cares about.
Fred Warner. Look at Fred Warner in the 49ers. That guy was all over the place.
Yeah, like it's mind-boggling how good players can be at these positions, and it feels like teams just go meh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when you get one who is good, I don't want to keep him. Yeah. I can get another one who might be almost as good for a tenth of the price.
Yeah, when you start counting pennies like that, it does. I would believe, and I think we kind of saw it. It hurts your team. You start.
I'll put it this way to you: we got AJ Brown.
Yep.
We better re-sign Devontae Smith. If Jason Kelsey's going to come back and we keep that O-line and you got Hurts, I still believe in like I said, our secondary is a little bit questionable. I believe Keely Ringo and I believe Eli Ricks could, step up and actually have a good career. Looking at who we have, looking at who's in their prime, I would pull what San Fran did this year and spend that money. Keep Reddick, sign a good linebacker, sign a good safety, pay top dollar. I don't care if our cap is minimal. We've got the players to win. We got the players to win now.
Right. The window's open. Right.
Yeah, but what happens when those contracts come to bite you after that? After we
deal with it by being shit.
So you're kicking the can down the road here, right? Is that what you're saying?
My thing is, all right, would you rather kick the can down the road and have a couple seasons of, rebuild sucks? Or would you rather be the Cowboys and go for the next 10 years, 20 years of, we're right here because we're managing who we have. And we're right here. I don't want to be a 12-win team for the next 2 decades and never win a damn thing. I'd rather win it all next year. And then
Cowboys are still being the same penny pitchers that you're complaining about right now. Like they chose to get rid of Zeke. They didn't have to. They could have kept him.
That's my point. They're being penny pinchers, and because they're penny pinchers, they're not winning.
No, they just.
I don't want to be that.
That sucks. That's why they're not winning.
But my point is, they've been doing this with teams. Like they have had chances. They've had players, and they'll let little ones go here or there that are actually key to their team, and it's causing them to never make it. And we're going to do the same thing. I don't want the Eagles to have 2 decades of 12-win plus seasons and no Super Bowls. I would much rather have a Super Bowl next year and then a fall off and have like 4. I'd rather see 3-4 shit seasons.
So what are the people that are behind him supposed to do? Like Nolan Smith. They're just supposed to sit there and take wait for the 3-year contract to be up and not get any playing time at all.
No,
like, what are you doing with your younger? What are you doing with your younger people? But we clearly haven't been rotating.
Well, yeah, look at our coordinators. They didn't know what they were doing. One was munching on crayons, and one was spinning around in his wheelie chair.
But if you have a Nolan Smith that you can put across from Josh Sweat, that's only going to cost you half the money, but the player will give you the same output as Hassan Reddick, you're still going to want to pay Hassan Reddick that $30 million guaranteed contract?
Yeah, because if he puts out the same, and Hassan Reddick puts out the same, now you don't have 11 sacks that season. You have 22 sacks that season.
They can't play the same position at the same time, brother.
They rotate in.
No, Miguel, you're not
DC.
Miguel, you don't want to bring back Hassan Reddick.
I don't know. I can't give a full answer. I don't know what Vic Fangio is going to do, what his defense is going to look like, what Hassan Reddick's role is going to be. Is he going to want to play that role? Is he going to What if they have him in there as, well, maybe as a joker he works. You know what I mean? Like we had, remember Javon Curse? We used to have that defense where he would just go travel along the whole defensive line.
Yeah.
That role kind of works for him.
Yeah.
I feel like Hassan Reddick will fit that gap. More of a linebacker, down lineman type,
100%.
Him and Micah Parsons are the same player. Micah's just younger.
If you have somebody that has a talent like a Nolan Smith that's sitting behind him, why are you going to pay potentially a 30-year-old who potentially could fall off in the next couple of seasons?
No, I agree with you. I like Hassan Reddick. I think he is a tremendous player. Coming from Temple.
Actually, here's a good question for you. A little follow-up because of what you're saying here, Mike. A little question for you, Miguel. Mm-hmm. You don't want to pay a player because he could fall off the next year or two. Mm-hmm. So you're saying you agree with Chip Kelly for getting rid of LaShawn McCoy because he could have fallen off the next year or two.
Here we go. He made it. He made it to the pod.
I'm just saying.
We made it through one pod without Chip Kelly's name, and you just had to bring him back in here.
But you put up this point. You're
Chip
saying
Kelly
that you'd rather let go of the players
in their current prime. Hassan Reddick has already, the last couple years have been his prime already. He's going to hit a wall sometime soon. Luckily, he's been healthy. I don't wish any ill will on him, but at some point, his success comes to an end.
So you're trying to tell me that LaShawn McCoy had seasons after the Eagles as good or better than his seasons with the Eagles?
I think he did.
He got a Super Bowl ring, my guy.
Okay. That's not quite the same as statistically what he did.
He had some good years with Buffalo. He had some good years with Buffalo.
He had some good years with Buffalo?
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Bring up the stats.
Let's bring up those stats. Let's see.
Footballreference.com. Hello.
He never once eclipsed 1,300 yards again once he left Philadelphia. Never. Yeah, so he never had as good a season.
He went to Buffalo to play with another running back. Like they were a two-back system.
So he had 1,600 yards. So he had a 1,600-yard season, a 1,300-yard season, and then we let him go, and he went down to an 800-yard season. Then had a bounce back 12, then 11, 5, 4, and 30 yards.
The older you get, the less ball you're going to get. You come in.
So are you saying that Chip Kelly made the correct decision to let him go
no,
as he was at the end of his prime? Because let's go back to this.
At the end of his prime.
He was so at the end of his prime.
Not.
Bro, I'm sorry. Running back's prime is 22 to like 25.
How old was he when Chip Kelly traded him?
Let's see here. He would have been 27.
27.
So tell me that wasn't the end of his prime. No running backs at their prime at 27. So you're saying now you are saying if you're saying that Hassan Reddick, if you're risking signing him because he could fall off, you're agreeing with Chip Kelly's decision to move on from LaShawn McCoy. That's the predicament you're putting yourself in. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're not right. You're not wrong. I
know.
Yes, in that frame of mind, yeah, then I do have to agree with that. But we had less then than we do now. Well, those two players were the Eagles. They represented the Eagles. They were the flag. They were the Jason Kelce of today.
And yet we pulled the players in that won a Super Bowl. But hey, whatever. All I'm saying is that I'm now on your side of saying I want to keep the wily veteran who's still got a lot of energy left, who's still got some years in him for a little bit of extra money because he's done phenomenally for our team. Yes, I love Nolan Smith. I wanted Nolan Smith at pick 10. We traded up 9 and got Carter, and I was like, look, this is great, but who's going to get Smith out? Because I don't want to see another player at that caliber go to some other team. By some fortune of the gods, he fell to 30. What drugs the other GMs were on, I'll never know. He ended up with us again. So we now have Davis and Carter and Smith and Dean and Ringo from one of the most dominant college defenses to ever play the game. I'm excited to see how he develops.
IR list is what you just listed.
Oh, you're not wrong. but I'm excited to see Nolan Smith get more game time. I want to see him develop to be that monster, but he still has to develop. Hassan Reddick.
How does he develop on the bench?
How do cars move anywhere? They rotate their goddamn wheels.
You rotate, but
we had bad defensive coordinators. We had terrible coordinators.
Desai did not want to listen to anybody. He wanted to do it his own way. He wasn't taking any kind of suggestions.
So and then we had Patricia, which was the dumbest thing, in my opinion, we've ever done. And we've done some dumb things as Philadelphia Eagles.
No, the dumbest thing was hiring Matt Patricia as offensive coordinator for Bill Belichick. He was hired as an offensive coordinator.
I mean, we can't really talk either because we did hire what's his name?
I knew you were going to say
line. What was it? The offensive line guy to become the defensive coach or some shit like that.
Who?
What's that? It was right during. Was it during Andy Reid?
Might have been. I remember you're talking about though.
We took a coach and he was on one side of the ball and we made him the OC of the other side of the ball. I don't remember which way it went, but we didn't make a good.
No, it wasn't a good decision. All I'm saying is that Patricia was a terrible decision. Desai, I stand by my belief earlier that minus the 3 shit slump games we had with the side coordinator, I think during the season you could see that he was learning to make adjustments in the second half, and we did tend to play better in the second half when he was coordinator. However, between him not understanding how to be a coordinator because he wasn't ready for it, Crayon Man on the other side, and Patricia, who doesn't belong in the NFL, but for some reason still keeps getting jobs, which makes no sense to me. No way was anyone going to develop because no one was coaching them. Now, while Vic Fangio might not be the most loved defensive coordinator, I know there's a lot of kind of weeble wobbling. We can understand that statistically speaking, he has had a more successful career than the 3 coordinators I just mentioned. Minus if you count the rings that Patricia earned from being on a staff of some other team that was better when he wasn't actually coaching. Overall, I'm just saying I expect that Fangio would be more likely to properly utilize his array of players and rotate them properly so you would see more production and more growth from your youth while having players like Fletcher Cox, like Hassan Reddick, like Brandon Graham do what they do best without being as exhausted because they don't have to be the starter anymore. I don't think Fletcher Cox has to start any game next year. Brandon Graham doesn't need to start any game next year. Reddick, yeah, I think Reddick probably still would because he's at too high of a level of talent. He's not quite as old as the other two. But I think you end up with a better pile of players and a better performance by having that sprinkling mix because we don't have that middling age. We've got a bunch of youth and we got veterans. I think you got to keep a couple of those veterans to kind of even out that youth to just dominate.
Yeah,
because
but when you only have a certain amount of money to sign some of those players,
yeah,
you gotta pick and choose.
We made it work with Hurts, and that was an insane number.
And
we can make it work.
I don't know if Fletcher Cox, like the things I've read and heard, I don't think Fletcher Cox is coming back. No. Brandon Graham will come back if it's going to be the cheapest of cheapest salaries. And just recently, I just read on Instagram, Jordan Mailata said he doesn't believe there's any chance Jason Kelce's coming back.
No, I believe he's coming back. Jason definitely is coming back.
You know, Miguel, you have been good with predictions over the course of this year. I've got to say that. You know, you guessed the purple Gatorade. You guessed the upsets. If you say Jason Kelce's coming back, I'll believe it.
I'll say this. I'm going to agree with Miguel on this one. Anyone who saw Jason Kelce's face at that Super Bowl, at the end, knows that there's a stirring in that man's chest.
There's a sparkle. There's still fire there.
Doesn't want to leave. Now, will he play? I hope he does. I'm praying he stays to play one more year. However, I think even if he ends up not playing, he's not leaving the Eagles. He will find one way or another to stick around. But I really hope he stays.
Yeah. He was also, I know he just recently talked to, I think, Fox Sports about becoming part of a broadcast
tour. Hey, here's a better idea. What if he plays one more year? We have a good, successful season. Maybe Kellen Moore sticks around for 2 seasons instead of half of one like every coordinator has been doing for us. And then when Kellen Moore leaves, we go, we got Stoutland, who's doing a great job with the other line. Which if we take one of his proteges who's loved by the city and just
Yeah,
I don't know if he wants that responsibility.
He said he wants to be part of the team, though.
I think he might want to take Stoutland's spot. I don't think
he wants Stoutland to leave, though. I think that would probably
break his heart.
I feel like Stoutland is close to retiring. He's up there in age. I'm not quite sure how old he is, but if Stoutland were to leave, let's say maybe in 2 seasons, and Kelsey had like at least one off season to get away from football, then I could see him coming back and taking Stoutland's spot.
Yeah. Hold on, let me just.
Yeah, I think I would love to see Jason Kelsey be part of this team for moving forward. I think his his celebrity is growing, and it might be too big to be an offensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles.
What if?
I really do. I think I would have loved him to. I would love to see him in that role, but I think his celebrity is growing too big at this point to do that kind of a job.
So what if instead, in 4 years' time, we have Mayor Kelsey?
Mayor of Philadelphia? Yeah. The guy is
popularity. He could run for president and win.
Yeah.
You know what? I think he would definitely garner he would actually garner enough votes to be considered.
Yeah.
I think in growth he could get there if he wanted to. If Philadelphia mayor, though, I think it'd be a landslide. I don't think it would matter. He could literally just say, "Hey, I'm running as a new party. It's called the Eagles Party," and it would just be a write-in.
Yeah. His podcast has really kind of elevated his career. His off the field
shenanigans.
His documentary put him through the roof because it endeared people to him and his family. And that's something that, as a dad, you guys know that's important, to see that someone appreciates you as a father and husband. So, he's going to grow, and if he comes back one more year, I think he's got one more year.
I don't know if me and Miguel know that second part too well, but I mean, I'm sure it's a nice feeling.
I'm
sure it's a real nice feeling. But
at one point, it was good for you, though. But yeah.
Dad, yes. Oh, best part of my life.
Right.
Husband.
Yeah, I hear you.
I have been treated better by some Dallas fans, to be honest.
Fans. Funny.
That's a lot.
But like the guy has really, I just hope he keeps going up. I hope there's never these little stupid scandals that come out and he blah 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 did this, blah 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 that. That would be very sad to have that ever happen. But
the only scandal ever about Jason Kelsey is that he can't find his damn Super Bowl ring.
Right, yeah. But he did find it eventually.
And then he lost it again.
Or something, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're going to close the book on all of those topics. We are going to take off next week. We aren't going to record next week, so there won't be a podcast that next week for our listeners. But the following week, we'll have our podcast awards for the Eagles that we're going to be putting out. We'll do like offensive player of the year, defensive rookie, stuff like that. That will be our last podcast of the season. And then coming up after that, we will start with our off-season podcasts about the draft. We're going to do some mock drafts, and we're going to talk free agency, and
we might have to change that order.
Change that order?
Yeah, because then our next podcast will be right in the middle of the combine. That is how soon that is.
And that's what I'm saying. It's that'll be okay because we want to be talking about the combine.
But that would be like next year's podcast talk, not like I feel like if anything, I get it. We're good.
We'll be all right.
We'll make it work.
Yeah. When's the podcast? When's the combine start?
The 26th
of March?
February.
February?
Really?
Always.
I thought it was in March.
I thought it was in April.
April's the draft. April's the draft.
February 26th, 2024 to March 4th, 2024.
That's crazy.
Combine.
Wow. Interesting.
March 4th is a great day, by the way. You know what? It tells you to March 4th. It's a day that instructs you to, no matter what, move forward.
Were you born on March 4th? Were you born on March 4th?
I mean, I'm a great guy, aren't I?
Womp, womp, womp.
Womp, womp, womp.
All I know is that go Birds.
Go Birds.
So,
all right. Well, if you like you said, we're going to take off next Thursday, and we'll come back, and we'll do that awards thing, and we'll figure out the combine thing after that.
Combine.
All right. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Squawking Eagles Podcast, download the Lockerverse app and watch along with them on there. I think that'll do it for us.
You already know how we do. EAGLES. Eagles.
Eagles. Let's go.
Go Birds.
Hey, Mike, play some of that funk.